For those who don't know, they've given already like 3 workshops this semester. So kind of a familiar face for everybody around here. But for those who don't know, Gwen and Gabby are quite um, the guests that we have, and we love to have them every time. Gabby is a learning and training expert, and she has her own consulting company called GSNL Consulting. And Gwen Franco is a global talent management expert at Hyatt Hotels, and they're here to talk today about what it takes to have a good, healthy team. And with that,
And
I'll yep,
oh,
go ahead.
sorry, I was just going to say, and I'll add that they are our favorites. So take it away. Take it away.
Well, thank you so much. You're our favorites too, so don't worry. We love being here with this community. Gabby and myself, and I'll allow Gabby's going to share her screen right now. We always look forward, and we didn't know that this was finals week, so we wish you all such good luck with your finals, wherever, if you know, or if it's not finals week for you, whatever it is, just that you're having a good week in general. So,
hi everybody, give me just a second to get situated here. Yes. Okay.
All right, here we go. So our conversation that we're going to have today around 5 elements of building a strong team. So what we did is, and Gabby is the guru behind us. She is the one that is a Gallup certified coach. We always want to shift our perspective when it comes to conversations that we're having, and really try to move from thinking of what are the things that break a team down to, or pull a team apart, to let's flip that and let's think about what are the elements that make a strong team and focus on that. So we always want to play on strengths, and you'll hear that always as a theme when it comes to all of our presentations that we do. So we're excited to share this with you today. So just a friendly reminder about who we are, and I'll Stephen introduce me. I'm a global talent management manager for at Hyatt Hotels. Also have my own brand, Craft Leadership, where I dabble a little bit in some coaching and some work with helping some startups and some companies with organizational development, culture building, leadership development, things like that. Gabby, go ahead.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here on what day is today? I think it's Wednesday, right? Yes, Wednesday afternoon, middle of the week. Fantastic opportunity to spend the day, kind of wind down for the day after this, and then learn something. So thank you for being here. My name is Gabby Alvarez, and Gwen and I have known each other for a few years, and instantly we became good friends. We share a lot, not only the hair and the wine, but a lot of passions, a lot of interests. We are both really, really passionate about helping individuals be the best they can be, bring their talents and strengths to work and to life. And we're really thrilled to be with you this afternoon. So enough about me and us, it's all about you. So today, we're going to talk about what makes a good team, or once you have people on your team and you have them already there, where do you go? How do you know how to continue to build strength and talent and get to your goals? So here we go.
So let's start off first by understanding what is a team. So I would like to ask in the chat if you could please write, what do you think is the difference between a team and a group? What's a team and what is a group? So go ahead and type your thoughts in the chat. Give everyone about a minute or so, and then we'll do a little debrief about it so we can understand. All right, and I'll just be reading these off as well. So we have a group is people working together, but not necessarily working together. Stephen, there's a question mark. Team is a group of people working together towards the same goal. A team works together well to achieve a common goal. Okay, there's a theme. Whereas a team is interconnected. Ah, interesting, Stephen. Team has a specific purpose. Okay, similar to same goal. A team is working together towards a goal. A group is just a bunch of people. Oh, okay. Dependence on each other, right? A team works together towards a common goal. A team is a group of people who come together to accomplish specific goals. A group of people put together, you don't necessarily interact, who don't actually work together. Okay, team involves cohesion and roles. A herd is an animal form of people. Interdependence team, independence group. Ooh, Tanya, that was great. So let me show you some of the attributes, some of the ways that team and group is defined, which you guys all kind of hit the nail on the head. So Abby, if we could see the, great.
Can you see it?
So when we have, yes, we can. When we see the differences between the two, right? So with a team, there can be individuals, you guys very much talked about them working independently, interdependently, right? We're talking about that. There's that mutual accountability that you talked about because they are working towards the same goal. And trust is critical in all of that. There's performance results that are necessary. And then you see there, it says clear and compelling performance challenges. So that exists within a team because of their interdependence that they have with each other when it comes to the goals that they have. So you can see the difference. When it comes to a group, there's no specific common purpose, which somebody said very well, right? That a team has purpose. That is why they have come together. A group is just a collection of individuals, no real defined roles, because there's no real purpose. It's just people who are brought together, not really dependent on each other. Trust just may not be as critical because there's no purpose. There's nothing they're striving or working towards together. So not dependent. So there's no results that are connected with each other. So it's interesting to know the difference. And it's interesting to also really define what a team is, because what tends to happen is people treat a team as a group when you're just bringing people together. But if you want to build a strong, healthy team, when you bring those people together, what's next? What happens? How do you do that? So let's understand what it is, and now let's work towards building that.
All right, so just by either a show of hands, I can't see everybody, show of hands or a little reaction or something. How many of you in your life or in your startups have teams? Okay.
You can use a reaction button.
You can use a reaction button. Okay. A lot of us, right? I mean, I'm lucky in a way. I shouldn't say it that way. I work by myself most of the time. It's, I am a sole proprietor and an entrepreneur, but I work with people and with teams all the time. So, yeah, by a show of hands, a lot of us have teams in our lives, right? Or a group of people that we belong to. So we wanted to start with a distinction and then move really quickly into, so what are some of the teams that we work with? So let's take a look. So teams may look different. There are many different teams. They look very different. So a team may look like this, right? It may also look like this. Everybody going like in a little bit of a different direction or not sure what they're doing. It could also look like this. Individuals doing their own carrying their own little weight or big weight for a common goal. It could look like this. Sometimes it can also look like that, right? It can look like this. Sometimes it may even look like that, or even like this. So our question for you today, what does your team look like? So, I mean, a few of you, if you want to unmute your microphone and give us from all of the images, and they're not necessarily representative of some teams that we work with, although some of them are like that. What does your team look like? One word.
Probably the first one.
Good. Excellent.
It seems like there's a lot of camaraderie, a lot of collaboration.
Yeah, yeah. So when we talk about building strong teams, then everything, the magic happens, right? Everything comes to light. There's color, there's energy, there's one direction, there's hands together, there's effort, building things together, collaboration, and a lot of different things that we're going to talk about today. So before we spend too much time talking and talking and talking, we really want to just, show you or actually have you do something for that. Don't take our word for granted. Let's do it. And with that, let's go.
Oh, can you go to the next slide? Oh, there we are. Okay, so we are going to do an activity right now. One more slide, Gabby. And so we're gonna have you go in breakout rooms right now, and you're going to find the treasure. You're going to do a scavenger hunt with everybody who is in the room with you. You will have a total of 4 minutes in the room, and there will be a list of items that you need to find with your fellow people in the room. I will also be putting all of these in the chat for you, so you have them available. If we go to the next slide, I'm going to show you what it is that you will need to find. So all of these items are what you will need to find together within with your group. I have now put them in the chat as well, so you have it to reference. Stephen, if you could please break up everybody into breakout rooms. We'll time it in 4 minutes. You will come back. Gabby, we lost
everybody.
Yes, welcome back. If you could share your screen again, or do you? We could. No, let's debrief like this. That's right. Okay. All right. So I would love to know. How was that experience? How did it go? If anybody would like to report, how many items did you find? Tell me. So please unmute and just share.
So for our group, what we did was we just went down the list, and if somebody had something, they just said they had that, and then we just went to go grab it. That's all that happened. And I got a deck of cards and a pillow.
Okay.
Did you get all of the items, Stephen, in your group?
I don't think so. We didn't manage to get a dog though.
Okay.
We just couldn't get the last thing, the something bought is advertised on Seen on TV.
Okay.
You got everything
sorry,
else? You got everything else, Angela?
Yeah, I think so, right, Stephen? Stephen was in our group.
Yeah.
Did we get the baseball and football?
I don't think we got the baseball cap and the jersey.
Oh, never mind. Sorry. Okay.
Maybe we didn't get.
So then we
like
got everything except 4. So we got 11.
Nice.
We got 11 of the items.
11. Fantastic. Who else? What happens? What else happened?
I guess
I'll go. Our team, so we got everything except for the green jersey, but we also got creative. So some of the items, they didn't specifically say they had to be like what exactly they had to, like real or not. So for like the dog, we found a Lego dog. And for the baseball and the football, we actually found a picture of a baseball and a football on our phone, because it didn't say technically that it had to be physical. And so we kind of did the same thing as Stephen. We just went down the list and said, hey, we have that. And yeah.
Cool.
Well,
I don't know if we lost Gwen, so I'll keep going until we get her back in audio or video. So what else happened? What other dynamics, what other behaviors did you see in your teams?
Well, in our group, we went from being a group of strangers to very quickly, or within a few moments, becoming a team, and then kind of rallying together. Who has what? You have that? Okay, I got that. And that was really interesting because there was the pressure of the time. We didn't even say hello or introduce ourselves. It was just kind of like we got right into it.
Cool. Great observation. Thank you, Isabella. Who else?
Hello. Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, so our group did pretty much the same thing where we just went down the line, and if you had something right next to you, you would say that, and then we kind of just said what we didn't have, and someone went to go look for it. And it was the same thing as Isabella said, where there was not really much time, so we're kind of pressured. There was no introductions, but everyone still kind of contributed in a way, which I thought was really great.
Nice, great observation. I'll take one more.
I think I'm back. I'm sorry, everyone.
Hi.
Oh. Hi, I'm sorry. I'm going to challenge anybody here to figure out how to fix my Wi-Fi. If there's a startup that knows how to do that, I would love it.
For now, you can always, we learned, one thing that we learned in our team was that you can always tether to your phone, and that will often, it's not a long-term fix, but it's a Band-Aid.
Yeah, that's what I did right now. I'm now on my hotspot on my phone.
So,
yeah, so sorry, but I did hear, I was able to hear all of you. You just couldn't hear or see me. So thank you so much for sharing. I heard Gabby say one more person. Anybody else wanted to share anything else about the experience that you just had right now? I heard about how like things like how you approached it, but I'd like to know how it felt for you. Isabella, I heard you share a little bit about like you went in with a room full of strangers and all of a sudden you had to become a team. So, but how did it feel for you to have this time, so many items, do it with strangers? Like,
for me, I don't know what it was like for other people, but it felt a little bit awkward. There were people who it was just like names on the screen, or it was just like a static photograph. And so I was kind of wondering, are they gonna, are they gonna start a video? Are they gonna engage? But then we just kind of, and then we didn't have a rhyme or reason of like, well, who's gonna do this or who. We just kind of, it felt like almost like working together as a team, almost blindfolded. We didn't disseminate like, okay, you two are gonna look for these things. It was just a little bit chaotic, but then at the end or towards the end, it became very organized. It was like, okay, we have this, what's missing? We don't have that. That was my experience of it. It was interesting. It was interesting how it went from, awkward to, and me not knowing what was gonna happen, to be very organized, but without a conversation about how it was gonna get organized.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
Anyone else?
It's kind of like just throwing into the fire. Just like do this in a limited time. It kind of seemed like I've been in work environments and like classes and school environments where it's just like, hey, join this group, do this right now. And it seemed kind of like that, but in a even shorter time span.
It reminded me of the phrase, building an airplane while you're flying, right? Like you don't know what's going on and you don't have a lot of time to figure it out, but you're just doing it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, wonderful. Thank you so much, everybody, for sharing. And I would love to tell you that there's a prize for whoever got the most items or anything, but here's the prize. The prize is the experience. It's the memory of this activity. And really what we wanted to do is, this is what happens, right? It's a group of people that are brought together, sometimes strangers, and as much, Isabella, I know that you mentioned it's like you didn't know what was, didn't have anything really defined. Hopefully in the work environment, what you want to do is with your teams is define those roles, but you all were working towards a common goal. And it's about looking at what was our ability to come together and achieve things. Sometimes in work environments, it will be quick like this, right? You have something that just has to get done and you don't have time to follow that entire process. And there'll be other times when you can establish that. And the more established you are in those things, the more agile you will be as a team when there's urgency and things, you have to work towards a common goal quickly. So we are going to now talk about building a strong team, and we will connect back to this experience that you had right now, because there's a lot of the themes that we are going to share from this short exercise that you just did right now. So thank you so much for everyone for participating. I think
that's my cue.
That's your cue.
So, I mean, we did a super quick scavenger hunt. You had 3 instructions, a time constraint, thrown, like Steven said, thrown into a group, with a bunch of strangers, yet you came together at some point. So what were some of the things that happened? How did that happen? We believe there's a little bit of these elements in what you just accomplished. And some of you were short 1 item. A few of you were short a couple of items. Was there any team that got all 15 items?
I don't think so. I think everybody said one or something.
Okay, so I think the one that got the most probably was missing 1 item or 2, which is amazing, right? In 4 minutes, what we were able to achieve. So what we wanted to share with you today is, after all of the years that we have done work with teams in different kinds of organizations, different sizes of organizations, successful teams or strong teams usually share at least these 5 elements. There's more, and there's some elements that might, fall into these buckets. So when you think about when Isabella said, well, we were a bunch of strangers and it was awkward because there was no rhyme or reason. And there might be somebody that would say, I love working like that. No rhyme or reason. That's where I thrive, right? Or there might be somebody that took the lead and started organizing people. Or there might be, I have seen this activity in organizations where there's what they divide, how many people are going to take, how many are going to get how many items, but there's always one. Well, I shouldn't say always because I didn't see it in this group, but there was in that organization, one person that also got all 15 items, just in case somebody in her team didn't have it. So very interesting, a lot of interesting dynamics. So we believe that, at least these 5 elements are basic to build a healthy, strong team. So at the bottom of the pyramid, and we put it in the pyramid just in the sense of what is foundational and how they interact with each other. So at the bottom of everything, any kind of relationship, there's trust. So when Isabella said, well, it was awkward, then how were you able to move quickly? How did trust play into the dynamic that we just did? Somebody wants to share? Nobody wants to share?
I'll speak up. It was just everyone just put their hands in. Everyone started chiming in. Everyone started, oh, I have this. Okay, who has that? It was,
yeah.
That's how we just went for the goal.
Exactly. We just went for the goal. We forgot about what I thought or I didn't think, and I just went and dove into the activity. So one idea, one invitation that we have for you is think about that. And how did you position yourself for that to happen, right? At some point you trusted that whoever said I had the item had it, right? And then you build from there. So the next part in this particular pyramid is conflict. So successful teams, strong teams, they use conflict. And by the way, if you want to know more about conflicts, you can watch our recording of managing conflict. I'm just kidding. But seriously, it's good. Anyway, so strong teams engage in unfiltered conflict. And what we mean by that is conflict doesn't always mean fights or arguments. It might mean different ideas. It might mean different speeds. It might mean different individual goals. But what happens in strong teams is they use that as a tool to generate even more ideas, to generate synergy, to generate creativity. Somebody said before, and I didn't write the name, but somebody said we were very creative, right? When we didn't have one element, we went to the phone and we took a picture. And because the instructions were vague, and they're vague on purpose, right? Then we were creative and we achieved the goal. So how many times do we actually do that work? Right now, so we know that it's a game, it's a safe environment. We're here for a short period of time. Somehow we have an established trust because this is a great community already. So we engage in the activity, no questions asked. So again, thank you for that. But think about it. How do I translate that into my day-to-day work with my team? When I have a different idea, when it's a little bit awkward, when it's a group of strangers, how do I move through that? What lessons, what did you do individually to achieve that? Collaboration with your team. The next two things, I'll go a little quick on them: commitment and accountability. And I don't necessarily think that they should be a separate thing, but we have two definitions for them. So when I trust my group of people, I use conflict in the right way, and I'm able to manage conflict in a positive, productive way, then I'm able to commit, right? I'm able to say, yes, I am going to commit to the team. Like you all committed pretty quickly. You had 3 instructions and committed. You trusted us and said, okay, let's go, and committed pretty quickly to whatever you needed to do to achieve your goal. And then accountability, once you commit, it's easy, quote unquote, to hold each other accountable, to talk about when things are going right, when things are missing, and when we promise to deliver in a few plans or objectives for the organization and for the team. And last but not least, and really critical, especially for entrepreneurs, is results. At the end of the day, we are in business, right? And we have to have results. Whatever the results are, that's the ultimate goal. So when we can rally the troops, when we can rally everybody to work towards that particular goal or result, then we'll see those growing and growing over time. So are there any questions on this? We're going to dive in a little deeper into each one of these elements. And before I go to the next thing, are there any questions? Yes, no, speak now, or? All right, here we go. So we're going to talk about the first element, which is trust. And we're going to show a quick clip that comes from Franklin Covey, which is one of the gurus on how to build trust. It's a very short clip, and we'll talk about it in a little bit after it's done. Ready? Here we go. You know what? Okay. So Stephen, to tell me about volume, yes? All right, perfect.
You lose volume?
We lost volume, Gabby.
Better. Oh, there it goes again. Better.
Yeah. Oh, what happened?
Ah, it's gone.
All right, hold on.
It's good.
So what is the cost of low trust doing to your organization, or what's low trust costing your organization or you? Anybody?
Money.
I'm gonna guess a lot.
Tell me more.
Low trust, in my mind, when I think of low trust, it's like if you have an employee and you don't trust them to do something, they're basic, and you do everything yourself because you don't trust them. It's a financial cost because you're paying that person and they're supposed to be working, but if you don't trust them, they're not working, but you're still paying them. So it's just a financial cost, as well as a mental cost for you, the person who's taking on all that responsibility.
Sure. What else?
I think it also costs you your potential for how far you could grow and the things that you could accomplish, because you're so busy focusing on someone else's work that you're not able to do what you're able to do, or to go more into what you want to do.
Yeah, well said. So what are some of the things, some of the ideas that we can do to dive into this bucket of trust? I mean, we can talk hours about trust and specific models on how to build them, but right now, a collection of ideas. What can we do to create more trust?
I think one thing, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, just self-reflection.
Sure. What else?
Setting boundaries, so giving them like a certain potential, like allowing them to do the work, but and then like setting a boundary, like not to interfere, so that they can have a chance to do the work themselves.
Sure. Setting boundaries, clear expectations. Fabulous. What else?
Or maybe trust building exercises.
Sure. Trust building exercises. Like the scavenger hunt. Yes, absolutely. And there's many, many more. So what else?
No, it's kind of a hard subject to think about.
Yeah. So Stephen, and that is exactly what happens. It's a hard subject to talk about. Trust. I mean, one thing that I would say today that we want to leave you with, a lot of nuggets, but one of the nuggets is trust is directly linked with vulnerability, right? So what Crystal was saying, let them do it and get out of their way, right? Give them the instructions, set boundaries, set expectations, and then get out of their way, requires a lot of vulnerability, especially for you entrepreneurs. Most of us have that director, hat, and a lot of the times it's our baby, it's our business, and it's hard to give that control away or to really trust that others will do it as good as you. So foundational piece in building a strong team is building trust. And with that, I know it's just like the tip of the iceberg, but it's, again, idea generations for you to continue to learn and investigate more. Let's go to the next one, which is conflict. And Gwen, that's your cue.
Okay, great. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I was talking and I was on mute. But anyways, I wanted to add one more thing about trust. I'm sorry, because it was something that was experienced right now in your breakout rooms, in that you put everything aside. You put whatever it is, your perspectives, your opinions, your biases, anything that it was, everything was forgotten. All that was focused was.
I think we may have lost Gwen.
I think we're losing her.
I think we can get back to that point with Gwen after she fixes the internet. So I think it might be okay for you to move on, Gabby.
I am going to move on. Okay, so sorry, Gwen, but she's super. I don't know what else she was going to talk about trust, but the moral of the story is, even in the scavenger hunt, high level of trust, right? We were strangers, but we had a task at hand. We just did it. Clear, basic example of trust, I think, is what Gwen wanted.
I was going to say, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
real quick right here? about the trust. When is it, so when would you feel like it's okay to say like let's say you put your trust in somebody, they don't they don't do what they're expected to do. When is it okay to say I don't trust this person anymore, and it's time to maybe let that person go? Or is there things that you can do to improve performance at that point?
Ooh, that's an amazing question. And I would say, so trust is more like a gut feeling at some point, right? Once you have really specific expectations and boundaries and goals, and everybody and they're communicated clearly, and everybody agrees, there's this level of agreement that both parties are going to do what they're going to do, then it's our decision, right? It's my decision to trust and say, okay, we're divided, we're going to trust. If the person doesn't do it, I think I would say a couple of things. I would ask myself, do they know how to do it? If they don't know how to do it, then that's one conversation. We might be able to help them. If they do know how to do it, my next question is there something in their way that is preventing them from doing it? If there is something in their way, then we can talk about it and maybe fix it, and that way they will perform. And the last thing I would ask, which is the hardest one of all, is will they do it? So then that last question is not about skill, and it's not about process, it's about attitude. That's the trickiest one of all, right? Because what if they don't want to do it? And if I find that they don't want to do it, then I go back to my set of expectations, and you have that gut feeling. You know what somebody is, past those ladders, and then it might not be that you don't trust them anymore, right? It's not that you know and you have evidence that they're not performing. And it's a little bit of two separate conversations, right? First, you're trusting, then you're using trust in a different way. You trust that they're not the best people for your team. Then you're okay to make that decision. You know what I mean? Right, so trust has that variation of approach. And so at some point, low performance, it might not be that you don't trust them. It might be that it's just now a performance decision, right? A performance issue. Does that answer the question?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's that. Yeah, absolutely. It's sad when it happens, but yeah.
It does happen. It does happen. And it's tricky because there's trust, because you're able, as a leader, you're able to build that trust. And so trust, there's also trust on yourself, right? So that self-trust and confidence, and Gwen has talked to your group enough to, a lot of times about confidence and trust, and which is, trust in yourself. When you know what's the right thing for the business, then you need to make those hard decisions. But it's not that you have to just blindly trust and not have performance. Then that's a completely different conversation. And it is okay. It's perfectly okay, because at the end, we have to always get to that big part of the pyramid, which is results, right? Yeah, good question. Yes.
It was interesting watching that video on trust. I'm not a college student. I'm much older than a lot of people here, and I've been in a lot of work experience in a variety of different environments, and all of those trust issues. I was like, oh my gosh, that was going on in this place, and that was happening there, and it's really from big institutions, nonprofits, small community-based. And it is, I hadn't really thought that the core was trust. It didn't dawn on me, right, that it was about trust. But being with that, just that 2-minute video that allowed me to tap into, 25 years of working, I was just like, I was blown away, honestly.
Yeah, it's really eye-opening. And if you want to learn a lot more about trust and trust dynamics, Covey has this great book, Leading at the Speed of Trust. That's where this clip comes from. We spend days working with teams about trust. Like, what we're giving you a 2-minute, kind of like a tip of the iceberg kind of introduction to the idea. We spend 12 to 16-hour workshops just getting teams to really build trust and start working towards building that a critical critical ability, critical element for a team. Excellent. I'm happy that it sent a good message. It's a good video. Yeah. Very cool. So the next piece.
I think I'm back. I'm not going to turn my video on because I'm terrified. And I'm also looking at the time. So we're going to quickly move through the following slides. We just have a few left.
Yes.
So, we talked about conflict. You remember conflict from the pyramid. And we have a separate, workshop that we did on this. So if you'd like to learn more about that, we encourage you to watch the recording. But another thing that we wanted to share with you is, sometimes it's assessing what conflict is going to exist. Conflict is not bad, but it's all about the style of the conflict, the depth and the frequency, right? And so this is a cool way of kind of thinking about in your team dynamic, okay, how substantial is the conflict that we're having and how often are we having it? And it's this is a great way to make it visual and kind of plug it in and pay attention to that, because that's when you need to address it, right? This can be, this tool can be a way of giving you like a temperature check of like, okay, what's going on? It's a little bit too frequent and substantial that we're having this conflict. Maybe we need to address something around this, because we know that conflict is an area that is very, very important, that is connected very, very much so and intertwined with trust, and it's important in building a strong team. So, Gabby, I pass it back to you so we can continue to move quickly.
All right, so we are going to move pretty quickly. It's a good thing that we kind of like combine the last two. I mean, the next two in the pyramid is commitment and accountability. And even though they're a little bit different, we're going to bundle them in this bucket. So here's a story. I'm going to tell you a story in 1 minute. This is a story of my 4 friends. Their names are everybody, somebody, anybody, and nobody. The story is called That's Not My Job. You might have heard the title before, and it goes somewhat like this. So there was an important job to be done, and everybody was happy about that. Then everybody was sure that somebody would do it. Anybody could have done it, but nobody did. Somebody got angry about that because it was everybody's job. Everybody thought anybody could do it, but nobody realized that everybody wouldn't do it. So at the end, everybody blamed somebody when nobody did what anybody could have done. Wait, what? So they got nothing, 0 results, right? It's this idea of like, yes, am I going to do it? Who's going to do it? When are we going to do it? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If you want the script of this story, I'm happy to send it to Stephen later, or you can copy the slide. It's kind of like, it takes a few times to read it, but it's really interesting because it's true. Somebody thinks that everybody else is going to do it, and then somebody does, but then we're angry, and it becomes a big conflict sometimes because of not clear expectations or the lack of collaboration and trust, and not using conflict in a productive way. So that's our little tale for accountability and commitment. And last but not least, this is Gwen's piece to talk about results.
Yes. So, results, and this is a fantastic quote that I think just really sums it up. If you can get all the people in your organization rowing in the same direction, you could dominate any industry in any market against any competition at any time. Your people are your power. That is really what can make a company thrive and successful and beat out anybody, because the dysfunctions of teams and the lack of trust and conflict and all those other things that we do bring companies down and really hinder them from being successful. And you're working towards a goal, and right now something as simple as you need to find 15 items with 4 random people Some people were incredibly successful, right? Because they came together and they were able to do this random task together. So you want to have that congruency. You want to, and those are the results that are needed. And when you can have everyone focused on the same results, you'll be successful and you'll have a strong, healthy team.
Yes, and the last piece that I would add to results, this is when we see teams doing that is when the organizational goal, and it goes back to Tanya's question, right? When the organizational goal is so clear and so compelling that I am now committed to the organization and to my team because we have that bigger goal, right? So it becomes more than me, it becomes the greater good, if you will. The collective goal then becomes more important. And then I'm okay then to trust that the decisions are the right decisions, to use conflict in a productive way, and to commit and be accountable to those decisions and rally up my team and my group to support those goals, because now I see the clearer picture. Even it might not be my idea, it might not be my individual goal, but the goal of the team is more important. The result of the team is more important. So I'm able to trust, let go, and then continue to support the team moving forward. And so we want to close the afternoon with a little acronym, right? And I know it's a little cheesy, but when we apply it to our daily lives with teams and with work, it really, really makes magic and color come true, right? So together, everyone achieves more. You saw it in the scavenger hunt, and we see it in teams all the time. And with that, I know that we have like 1 minute left or something like that, but we will open the floor for questions. I know we went a little quickly in some of the things.
Hi, I had a question about using conflict in a productive way. So what are some examples of that? Like how would you use conflict in a productive way?
So conflict, Gwen, do you want to tackle that one? You want me to go for it? I guess I'll go for it. Conflict in a productive way looks like when you have an idea, you're in a meeting, you're in a group of people, right? Or it doesn't have to be a meeting, but you're in a group of people and you have an idea. And somebody says, well, that idea is good, but I have another idea. And then somebody has another idea. And it might create conflict sometimes if we start fighting for our own ideas. But when you're open to other ideas, when you're open to the conversation, when you are honest and transparent in your conversations, then you can use conflict in a very productive way. There are companies that on purpose put people of opposite teams to develop product, for example, to kind of like destroy each other ideas. So we would label that as conflict, for example, but the idea and the purpose of that conversation is very productive because we want to make a better product, and we're not going to make it if only one person thinks of it, right? So that's one example of using conflict productively. The other, Gwen was talking about how frequent and how important the conflict is. And again, conflict doesn't always look like a fight, right? Conflict can just be a difference of opinion or a difference of objectives and things like that. It doesn't always have to be a fight. Sometimes it's very productive and it's needed, right? In certain process and product development, you always need conflict as a tool. I mean, we call it conflict, but it's a tool of disagreement to get to a better idea, to get to a greater idea. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, Joe.
And Joe, I placed a link to Gwen's conflict resolution workshop that she put on earlier this semester, if you wanted to take a look at that as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. In that workshop, Gwen goes more in depth about how to use conflict in a more productive way than a lot of people use it for.
Yes, and it has like a 5-step process or 4-step process to do that. What other questions are there?
I think you can hear me, but I did want to clarify that workshop was between Gabby and myself.
Oh.
So that is both of the workshops.
if nobody has a question, I'd like to ask another one.
Go ahead. Yeah.
We do record all of our workshops, and they will be available for you.
Someone's playing the video in the background.
For hours. And
I think that's me. Sorry.
I wanted
I had
to. Well, let me
just opened it, so the one you sent. Anyway, so I just wanted to ask, so what would you recommend you do if, let's say, somebody in the group doesn't have an open mind and isn't open to conflict of any sort, of even if it's like a manager who, you know, kind of has that authoritative thing where they don't, you know, they don't take any ideas from any employees, or something like that.
What would I recommend to do? Hire me as a coach? No, I'm kidding. I would say, no. Well, there's a lot of different things, you know, like a lot of the times is the individual making a decision. A lot of times is the culture of the organization. A lot of times it might just be that it's the way things have been done for a number of years. So there's always some research that needs to be done. If you're talking about somebody that you report to, it becomes a little bit more challenging. I always say that you generate what you give, right? So if you're open, if you are honest, if you do even the work in yourself to move the organization forward, it's not going to go unnoticed. Once in a while, yes, if it's our boss or is it, you know, leadership, there might need to be some additional interventions that can help those leaders to move in a different direction. There are times that they don't, right? And if they don't, then you need to make a decision on whether you want to be part of that particular culture, or how much can you influence it? Like, do you have access to this person? Can you have a good, like, heart-to-heart conversation? And there's a lot of different tools. If you want, let me move the screen so that you guys have this, but we can continue talking. If you want to send me an email, I can say there's a lot of different tools that you can use, like to have those conversations with people that might seem to not be so open, right? Sometimes we also have the lens that there might not be that open, and there might be something going on, right? There might be a legitimate reason. I have found sometimes the leaders are very pressured to achieve financial results, or they're very pressured for time constraints and deadlines. So in those cases, they need to make a decision, right? And if the decision is to save the company, sometimes they might not be open to the ideas. But if it's like the day-to-day regular things, I mean, I would explore more, and I would need to know a little bit more of the example to give you a very specific exercise to do. But there's a lot of things that can be done. It starts, I always say that it also starts with ourselves. How much do we self-reflect? How much do we prepare for the conversation? If you're trying to convince if it's your manager and you're trying to pitch an idea, talk their language, right? So if they're interested in numbers, then include numbers in your idea or in your presentation. If they like more of the process, then talk about how this idea will improve the process. So it's that also, it's kind of making that connection of what will speak to that person. A lot of times, if you are able to tap into what they are interested in, then you'll get their trust. I mean, it's these little elements that we were talking about. You get their trust. You can use conflict in a productive way, and then you can get them to commit to a different idea.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Does that help?
Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, it does. Thank you so much.
Perfect.
I think maybe we have time for one more question. We are a little bit over time, so we do want to keep it short if anybody else has any questions. Doesn't look like anybody wants to ask anything else. So is there anything that you'd like to leave us on, Gabby, Gwen, if Gwen's still there? Okay, Gabby, go ahead.
I think she's saying goodbye.
Goodbye.
I will leave you with this. Here is our information, and we're playing with these QR codes, so try them away. We are here for you if you have any thoughts or questions after the workshop. There's tons of material that we can share with you, and we'll leave you with the idea that strong teams are super important, and work should be enjoyable and magical. So go for it and enjoy.
Yes, thank you so much, everyone. I apologize for my internet problems, but so wonderful always. And I wish you all the best of luck with your finals, or if you are not a student, with whatever you do And we will see you hopefully next semester. Take care.
Thank you so much, Gabby. Thank you so much, Gwen. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Bye.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tanya Hertz, and I'm the director of the Regional Entrepreneurship Center, the Rec Innovation Lab at San Diego Miramar College. And I'd like to thank our partners at this time and give a special thanks to SDSU's Lavin Center, the SDSU Zip Launchpad. We'd like to thank the California Entrepreneurship Educators Conference. Also like to thank Harness, the Brink SBDC at USD, San Diego Unified Schools. We'd also like to thank School of Entrepreneurship and Technology, High Tech High, the Regional Advisory Committee, Alex Waters at the Jacobs Center, Connect All, 21IQ Labs, Startup Quest, Productified. I'd like to thank Course Key and Tech Coast Angels. Thank you to Village Up, City Heights Development Corporation, San Diego Angel Conference, Startup San Diego, SBDC, SCORE San Diego, We Are Kingdom, New Media Rights, San Diego Tech Hub, Origin 63, Ambrosio 15, OmniSync, Optima Office, Proven Recruiting, Craft Leadership, GS&L Consulting. Thank you to all of our partners. We couldn't do what we do without you. Thank you.